Hello and welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. This week, Julie Pickering gave us an update on the state school board issues in Texas and how they reflect similar challenges facing parents across the nation. Julie said that if you show up at a school board meeting and object to mask mandates, critical race theory, or vaccine issues, you may be put on an FBI watch list. The National School Board Association made this request of the Department of Justice that this be so in partnership with the White House. Once you're on the FBI watch list, under the Patriot Act, the FBI can surveil you and fact find about every aspect of your life. And if they are so inclined, they can share this information with your local school board and local authorities to close you down. Julie also shared that the phrase critical race theory is now called behavioral restorative practices and cultural responsiveness training, equity, and inclusion. I made a note about what Julie said about this and reminded people that, of course, it was George Bush that brought us the Patriot Act after 9/11, and how ironic it is that today the act is being used for that purpose, to go after patriots. Also, we do ourselves a disservice when we think that everything is Republican versus Democrat choice, when in fact both parties seem to be working in concert together. It makes one wonder if the concept of gridlock is really a phenomenon or a distraction from the fact that there is really, in fact, no gridlock at all, but instead a steady and relentless agenda being advanced by both parties together. The Obamas mentioned on more than one occasion how startled and delighted they were at the gracious and welcoming reception they received from George and Laura Bush upon their arrival at the White House. No wonder President Bush was welcoming, because he knew it was going to be business as usual with another pawn president in the cogs of the system. I remember the excitement people had for Obama as an agent of change, and how soon that excitement evaporated into the comment that he is simply not doing enough. We were also fortunate to have Gretchen Fritz join us at Conservative Coffee Hour. We failed to give Gretchen a proper introduction, but as my father always said, you never know who you are talking to. But after listening to Gretchen, it took us just a short while to realize we were talking to a true patriot. Gretchen shared information about concealed carry laws in Illinois and the use of lethal force. Gretchen said that lethal force must only be used if you are encountering an equal opposing threat. This is the premise of any legal case against the use of firearms or lethal force. This was true in the recent case in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Prosecution tried to show that the defendant could not be threatened by an equally opposing force because he was a white supremacist, and therefore he had no grounds to defend himself. I found this very, very informative because it points to the idea that we are in a spot where we no longer have an open and fair debate about ideas. If I propose an idea or opinion that is not part of the orthodoxy of the day, I will not be met with an equal opposing idea or opinion, but instead I will be obliterated because I have no standing to have my idea because I have the wrong idea. I was really intrigued by Gretchen's narrative about equal and opposing force because it reminds me of Reinhold Niebuhr's doctrine of Christian realism, which states that whenever we are faced with an opposing threat to our safety, security, or way of life, we must counter that force with an equal opposing force. This is the doctrine of Christian realism, and it has been one of the drivers of U.S. foreign policy since the 1950s in one form or another. I mentioned on the call that this is why we don't drop atomic bombs or completely obliterate our enemies, even though we certainly have the power to do so many times over. So with all that, as we move toward Thanksgiving and the holidays, we can ask, what do we have to be thankful for? Well, first, First off, Thanksgiving is truly an American phenomenon we can all be thankful for. It speaks to a partnership of disparate people who saw each other as equals, even though there was, in fact, a power imbalance between these two cultures. They took time off to offer thanks and to be thankful. The fact that this tradition still exists is remarkable because some see our history as problematic or troublesome and not something that we should be thankful for. But all life is problematic. Everyone's life is a mixed bag, and we are not thankful for only the good parts while we discount the bad parts. Would anyone exchange his life or lead someone else's life? Probably not. And this is because the only thing we have in this life is our own life. And this is true universally. And universally, it is what people can be thankful for. In the spiritual practice of thankfulness, there exists no power imbalance. If you would like to join us for a conservative coffee hour, I will include my email in the description, and I will be happy to send you an invite. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.